In our last video, we spent some time discussing the general environment. As the first type of external environment that influences a business, the general environment includes the economy, as well as technological, sociocultural, and political and legal trends that indirectly affect all businesses. For a more in-depth discussion of the general environment, you can access episode 145, The General Environment, using the link at the top of your screen. In this video, we're going to spend some time reviewing the second external environment, the specific environment. While the general environment includes factors that indirectly affect all businesses, the specific environment includes those factors that directly affect how a business operates. Components of a business's specific environment include customers, competitors, suppliers, industry regulations, and advocacy groups. Evaluation of these areas provides business managers with a more accurate understanding of the opportunities and threats to their business. The first component of a business's specific environment are their customers. Without a sufficient customer base, businesses would fail to sell enough goods and services to cover their operating expenses. As a result, it's important that businesses scan their specific environments for changes related to the wants and needs of their customers. This can be accomplished in two different ways. The first is referred to as reactive customer monitoring. Under reactive customer monitoring, issues and other trends related to customers are addressed as they arise or reactively. Practically, this can be accomplished through customer service surveys, post-purchase follow-up calls, online forums, and even corporate Facebook pages. Responding quickly to customer complaints can allow the business to maintain goodwill with its customers and increase the chances of continuing the relationship. In addition to engaging in reactive customer monitoring, businesses can also employ proactive customer monitoring. Unlike reactive customer monitoring, proactive customer monitoring involves identifying customer issues and needs before they actually occur. This may seem a little bit like trying to predict the future, but recent improvements in technology have allowed businesses the opportunity to transform piles of data into useful information. For example, Target is able to analyze consumer purchase behavior to accurately predict whether or not a female customer is pregnant, and if so, how far along she is. This allows Target the opportunity to send promotional offers unique to that customer and drive up sales. Now, maybe this is a little intrusive depending upon your position, but Target is certainly being proactive at identifying the needs of their customers. The list of businesses that utilize data to identify customer needs isn't unique to Target alone, as many businesses are looking to better cater to the needs and wants of their customers. The second component to a business's specific environment are competitors. Competitors include businesses that operate in the same industry and sell similar goods and services. So by this definition, competitors of Target would include Walmart, Costco, and even Kmart. But also remember that indirect competitors should also be assessed as they serve as possible threats. Because these businesses cater to similar customers, they need to accurately evaluate the actions of their competitors and determine their strengths and weaknesses. This is referred to as a competitive analysis and is critically important if a business intends to adapt to the actions of its competitors and ensure that they're doing a better job of satisfying customer needs. Retailers like Macy's, Walmart, and others are looking for ways to adapt to Amazon's dominant presence in the arena of online shopping. Instead of building a vast network of distribution centers to mirror Amazon's operations, Macy's is attempting to leverage its vast network of brick-and-mortar locations to fill online orders. Orders submitted through Macys.com are routed to the closest store where a Macy's employee grabs the item off the store shelves, packages it, and gets it ready for shipping. Although the impact of such actions is yet to be determined, they represent the ability of business managers to evaluate competitors and look for possible opportunities for their own businesses. The next component consists of suppliers. Suppliers are companies that provide the inputs that other companies need to produce outputs. These inputs can take the form of actual materials like cotton and lumber, human resources like IT support, as well as financial resources. In this area, the important thing for business managers to evaluate is how dependent they are on a particular supplier for resources. For example, suppliers may be limited in number, resulting in somewhat of a monopoly for the supplier. The problem is being overly dependent on a supplier can put the business at risk to pay higher prices, since they really have no viable alternative. Also, if operational issues occur with the supplier, the business is at greater risk to incur disruptions of its own. In addition to being overly dependent on a supplier, businesses can be overly dependent on a buyer, which is referred to as buyer dependence. This often is caused by a limited number of buyers in a market. Take, for example, the businesses that contracted with the U.S. federal government for various services. During the partial government shutdown in October, many of these businesses were forced to furlough and even lay off employees because so much of their revenue was derived from the U.S. federal government. The fourth component of a business's specific environment is industry regulation. You're probably thinking that this sounds a little redundant, given the general environment already encompasses regulation in the political and legal component. The difference between these two is that the political and legal component to the general environment includes changes and trends that affect all businesses. In the specific environment, we're looking solely at regulation changes that impact businesses in specific industries. Take, for example, the Securities and Exchange Commission, commonly referred to as the SEC. Businesses that offer brokerage services that allow consumers to purchase different securities must consider the regulations imposed by the SEC as part of their specific environment. However, businesses that are not involved in this area may care very little about the actions taken by the SEC. The fifth and final component of the specific environment are advocacy groups. Advocacy groups include groups of individuals who join together to influence business practices in certain areas. Advocacy groups are significant in number and are present in areas such as gun control, environmental preservation, and consumer privacy. Just recently, the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, proposed that airline passengers be allowed to utilize cell phones on flights as the technology posed no risk to the aircraft. While it appeared that we would eventually get the opportunity to make phone calls via our cell phones on flights, several advocacy groups spoke out about the concerns associated with such activity. Everyone from pilots' organizations to flight attendants to concerned consumers spoke out vehemently about the use of cell phones on airplanes. After all, who really wants to be stuck on a 4-hour flight next to someone talking loudly on their cell phone? While evaluating this area, business managers need to determine whether or not the actions that they take can produce backlash from certain groups. Although it's impossible to appease everyone, managers should at least ensure that a majority of stakeholders are agreeable to actions so that they don't tarnish the image of the company. Together, these 5 components make up a business's specific environment, and by thoroughly evaluating their specific environment, business managers can put themselves in a position to capitalize on changes or trends. Failure to do so can threaten a business's ability to compete effectively in their market. Now that we've discussed both areas of external environments, our next video will be devoted to actually evaluating the ever-changing environments that businesses operate within. For questions, please leave them in the comment box below, and remember to subscribe to Alanis Business Academy to have our latest videos sent to you while you sleep. Thanks for watching.